Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you today, guys? May Allah always give you all and your family about healthy and the best every day. Amin. Introducing myself, my name is Dila. I am from Bantul, Yogyakarta. I am an alumni of UMY. I'm major in agrotechnology, Faculty of Agriculture, from 2015 to 2018. Let me tell you my research about increased cassava productivity with the technique of perpendicular to the base of the sticky cassava stem of the ketan variety in the Regosol soil. Introduction. Cassava is a food crop commodity that has a large potential to be developed as raw material for agro-industry. Cassava is the third food crop commodity in fulfilling carbohydrate needs after rice and corn. This makes cassava an important commodity in the staple food diversification program. However, the problem faced in the development of this local alternative food product is the availability of cassava raw material which are not available all the time, with abundant quantity and affordable price. The supply of cassava product in Yogyakarta, especially Gunung Kidul, is not evenly distributed between months throughout the year. At the time of the main harvest, the supply of cassava is abundant so that the price drops, while the supply in certain months is not guaranteed because the plants have not been harvested. In an effort increases the production and the productivity of cassava, it is necessary to input the right cultivation technology so that it can increase the yield of cassava cultivation. The low productivity is caused by the uneven application of appropriate cultivation technology. Possible technology to be introduced in order to increase yield using straight stem cutting. The success of root initiation is also influenced the by number by shoots on a cutting. The presence of shoot is very important for the root initiation process. Root growth will not occur if all shoots are removed or in a resting state because shoots act as a source of auxin which stimulate root formation, especially when roots begin to grow. Based on this description, it is necessary to conduct a study on the effect of the number of pendicular cut as the base of the cassava stem on increasing the productivity of ketan cassava variety in Regosol soil. Research purpose: assessing the impact of cutting techniques and the number of vertical cuttings at the base of the stem on increasing the productivity of cassava in Regosol soil. Method: place and the time of implementation. This research was conducted in the experimental field of the Faculty of Agriculture UMY, Yogyakarta. The research was conducted from December 2017 to June 2018. Method: field experiment method with a single factor experimental design arranged in a completely randomized block design. The treatment that were tried were various number of cracks on cassava stem cutting, which consisted of 4 kind of treatment and 3 replacement or block. The taste treatment is be like that, and the pruning is done under the eyes of cassava stem cuttings. And this is my research schedule from December 2017 to June 2018. This is the table of from the MRT about the growth of cassava ketan variety. Result and discussion. Growth. The observation of cassava plant growth start at 4 to 30 weeks after planting, including shoot length, number of leaves, leaf area, root length, and number of root. Growth was determined by increasing dry weight, plant height, and stem diameter. State that in this research during the vegetative growth period on plant There were three important processes, namely cell division, cell angulation, and the early stage of cell differentiation. The process will be the development of stem, leaves, and root system. The average result of growth parameter including shoot length, number of leaf area, root length, and number of root in analysis of variance and or GMRT of cassava sticky race variety are presented in Table 1. And the Table 1 shows that giving and without treatment has an effect on the height of cassava variety of glutinous rice. In all treatment, the shoot length results were relatively the same. At the treatment, that were cut or not cut give a significantly different effect on shoot length of cassava variety of glutinous rice. It is suspected that the given create affect the movement and accumulation of carbohydrate and oxygen needed by plant to initiate root for shoot length growth. And the absence for the different indices and the cutting of injured the same of the cassava, the cutting of the ketan variety did not affect shoot growth. In addition to entering the generative period, and the availability of nutrient also affect plant growth, absorb more an element for growth, especially shoot length, and vice versa, or without cutting or control treatment, there is not root formation as much as given cutting. So that the absorption of nutrients by the roots and the control system cutting with or without treatment is lacking, so that growth does not run actively on shoot length, number of leaf area, root length, and number of root. State that with the availability of nutrients in sufficient quantity during vegetative times, the photosynthesis process will run actively, so that cell division, elongation, and differentiation will run well. The absorption of the roots of the cassava variety of sticky ketan, the nutrient, and which is quite influential of the current active growth of shoot length, leaf number, leaf area, root length, and number of root. Number of leaves. Table 1 so that giving and without treatment has effect on the number of leaves or cassava variety of glutinous rice. In all the results show relatively the same number of leaves. All treatments, whether cut or not, give no significant effect on the number of leaves of cassava variety on glutinous rice. It is suspected that the given cutting affect the movement and accumulation of carbohydrate and oxygen needed by plant to initiate root for the growth of the number of leaves. Leaves are very important plant organs because leaves are a place to synthesize food for the needs of a plant or as a food reserve. Leaves have chlorophyll, which plays a role in photosynthesis. The more the number of leaves, the more place to carry about out photosynthesis, so that plant will grow well. The number of leaves continue to fall even though it is have been sprayed regularly with two trademarks. This is due to the environmental condition of the cassava plant of the glutinous variety close to other plants that are susceptibility to fungus attack, so that is quickly spread and experiences severe loss. The remaining leaves at the time of harvesting the ketan variety of cassava, or at the age of the 30 weeks, the number of leaves is small and only leaves are left at the top. So this is also in line with the growth of the leaf area, like that. Leaf area. The table 1 shows that giving and without treatment has effects on growth on leaf area of cassava variety of glutinous rice. In all treatments show the different leaf area result. All treatments, whether cut or not, give significantly different effect to the area of cassava variety of glutinous rice. It is suspected the given reduction affect the movement and accumulation of carbohydrate and oxygen needed by plant to initiate root for leaf area growth. Leaf area on cassava variety of ketan is decreased. It grows at the 19th week. This was due to fungal attack which caused the leaf to turn yellow, result in severe loss. Plant growth is highly dependent on the result of photosynthesis produced by the leaf. This leaf is a very important aspect in the process of plant growth in the provision of substrate. The substrate of used to from the new plant material, which is mostly carbohydrate, is obtained from the process of photosynthesis is organ, namely leaves. The ability of leaf to produce photosynthesis product is determined by productivity from the unit area for external and internal leaves. The rate of photosynthesis of each plant is generally influenced by leaf area. The addition of leaf area is a process of cell division and enlargement. Leaf area coincides with the growth of the number of leaves due to being attacked by fungi, resulting in a lot of fall area or of leaf fall. For course, will also affect the growth of shoot length, root number, and root length. Root length. Table 1 shows that giving and without treatment did not affect root length of cassava variety of glutinous rice. In all treatment, the results show that the root length was relatively the same. All treatments, whether cut or not, had not significant effect. No root length of cassava variety of glutinous rice. It is a premise that the treatment given did not affect the movement and accumulation of carbohydrate and oxygen needed by plant to initiate root growth for root length. Root length growth is the response of root of the availability of water and nutrients. Observation of root length aims to provide information on the ability of plant roots to absorb water and nutrients. Root length is the result of the extension of the cell behind the root tip. Because in this area there are 3 growing points, namely the division, elongation, and differentiation area. However, the treatment with the number of fork cutting give a higher root length growth result in the vegetative period that other treatment. This is supported by the statement Lakitan, which say that the longer the root development, the more water and nutrients are absorbed by the plant, so that the need for nutrient for plant growth and the production is quenched during the vegetative period. The growth or root length coincides with the growth of the number of root root of the cassava variety of ketan. Number of root. Table 1 showed that giving and without treatment did not affect on the number of root of cassava variety of glutinous rice or ketan. In all, the results show that the number of root was relatively the same. All treatment, whether cut or not, gave not significant effect on the number of fruit of cassava variety of ketan. It is presumed that the treatment gift does not affect uh, the movement and accumulation of carbohydrate and oxygen needed by plant to initiate root growth for the number of fruit. Root growth is the longer the growth or root development. There more water and nutrients are absorbed by the plant so that the nutrients needs for plant growth and production are more secure during the vegetative period. And the growth in the number of fruit will go hand in hand with the yield of cassava plant, namely tuber. This is the table of yield component from the MRT, the cassava of ketan variety. Average tuber length. Table 1 shows that giving and without treatment did not affect the number of cassava variety ketan. In all treatment, the results show that the number of tuber was relatively the same. All the treatment, whether cut or not, had no significant effect on the number of cassava variety ketan. It is suspect the given cutting does not affect the movement and accumulation of carbohydrate and oxygen needed by plant to initiate root for the growth of the number of tuber. The formation of cassava begins with the root system of the cassava plant, which is usually propagated through system cutting, appears adventitious and consists of fibrous root and tuber. Classification of the root system is adventitious fiber tuberous or tuber fiber according to Figes. And adventitious root arise from the basal surface of the stem or from buds on the cutting. The roots of the ketan variety cassava rise from the basal cut surface, generally different into yam roots and the reference to as basal root and arising from buds present in the internodes are referred to as rooting nodules. The different of fibers root into yam roots designed so to store carbohydrate. It is the result of a process called turberization, which is morphological characterized by the growth of root thickness. Anatomically, this thickness is called secondary growth and results from the activity of two secondary meristem, the pelogon and the vascular cambium. Many yams are formed under the wood, which cause increased growth of root that different into tuber. Number of tuber length. Table 1 shows that giving and without treatment did not affect the length of cassava variety of ketan. In all treatments show the relatively the same length of the tuber. All treatment, whether cut or not, had not significant effect on the length of cassava variety of ketan. It is suspect that the given structure does not affect the movement and accumulation of carbohydrate and oxygen needed by plant to initiate root for long tuber growth. Some fibrous root begin to grow rapidly on average 6 weeks after planting. In the formation of root into tuber, there was the formation of large amount of xylem presence, which has filled with strath grains to form tuber. At the beginning of its growth, the number of enlarged root was determined with a slight change in the number of swollen root between 8 until 12 weeks after planting. The tuber result of the cassava plant goes hand with the long development of a tuber. Diameter of tuber. Table 1 shows that giving and without treatment did not affect the diameter of cassava variety of ketan. In all treatments show that relatively the same tuber diameter result, and the treatments, whether cut or not, had a significantly different effect of the cassava root diameter of the glutination variety. Or variety ketan. It is suspect that the given structure affect the movement and accumulation of carbohydrate and oxygen needed by plants to initiate root for the growth of the tuber of the diameter tuber. The development from roots to tuber started on 16 days after planting. The tuber formation process had begun, and at 19 days after planting, the secondary xylem was completely differentiated to allow struct storage, and at 120, 150, and 180 days after transplanting, the root anatomical structure was similar that observed at 90 days after sowing. The anatomical structure of cassava tuber diameter was formed at 90 days after planting, along with the sequence of formation and tissues development in the formation of a tuber. Tuber result of the cassava plant goes hand in hand with development of sweet potato length tuber and tuber of diameter. And this is a weight of tuber. Table 1 show that the treatment with and without treatment affect the diameter of the cassava plant of the glutination variety or variety ketan. In all treatments show relatively the same tuber diameter result. All treatment, whether cut or not, had a significant different effect the cassava root diameter of the variety ketan. It is suspect that the given structure affect the movement and accumulation of carbohydrate and oxygen needed by plant to initiate the root for the growth of tuber diameter. The weight of the tuber increased with time, and it is 28 days after planting. A number of struck grains and can be found in the xylem parenchyma of the roots, but anatomical cannot distinguish between roots that eventually grew into the tuber and those that will remain root. Tuber grow rapidly, on average 6 weeks after planting, in the formation of root into tuber. There is a formation of large amount of xylem present filled with stretched grains so that a tuber is formed with continues to grow. A tuber a result of cassava plant that go hand in hand in the development of a tuber length, a tuber of diameter, and the tuber of weight. Root system. Table show that giving and without treatment did not affect the diameter of cassava variety of ketan. In all treatments show relatively the same tuber diameter result, and treatment, whether cut or not, had not significant effect of the cassava plant diameter of ketan variety. It is suspected the given structure does not affect the movement and accumulation of carbohydrate and oxygen needed by plant to initiate root for the growth of tuber diameter of tuber. Based on this table, show that the increase affects the rate of tuber, the growth of tuber diameter in all treatment from the beginning to the 13th week by giving 3 cutting was higher than the other plants. There was no significant difference in height for the various treatments, but it could be seen that the cassava planted by tree cutting or strikes got the highest yield. Based on this table, the development of the root system by scoring so that the overall treatment continued the increase, but the best development increase is the force tracks or cutting treatment, followed by the result of the tuber diameter and weight of tuber. Conclusion: the results show that the pendicular stretch on the stem cutting can improve on the growth and yield of cassava ketan variety, with the best stretch is 4 with the result tuber 51 ton per hectare. This is the table of average root system development of productivity of cassava ketan variety. This is the arrangement of block and plot in the field sawah. This is the productivity observation plot. This is the picture of cassava stem cuttings. Alhamdulillahi jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.